Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to week 2. Happy pre-Halloween for those of you who celebrate. I am currently celebrating using Winnie the Pooh, who is afraid of his own bat-shaped shadow. So um, I like cute Halloween. I like spooky Halloween too, but anyway. Welcome back. It is time for our Unit 2 weekly walkthrough. This is the first week that you're going to have a formal writing assignment, and we're going to set up some good practices that will help you navigate all of the writing assignments in English 107. Um, Great job in Unit 1, everybody who participated over on the discussion board. There were a few people who kind of missed part of the prompt, but that one was ungraded, so not a huge deal. But just a reminder that one of the biggest things that you can do to make sure that you do well in English 107 is to make sure that you hit all of the asks. So during these weekly walkthroughs, that's part of what we're doing here is making sure that you don't miss any of the prompt aspects, um, any of the requirements for the writing assignments, things of that nature. So keep that in mind. Again, tune in early each week and you will be able to get an in-depth look at what's happening that week. So let's go ahead and open the course. We are in Unit 2, as I mentioned, and Unit 2's theme is solutions. We all like solutions. One of the things that we're focused on this week is AI, which is a hot topic, not only in higher ed, but in the world in general. There's so much information out there and so much AI generated content. From an academic perspective, we're mostly talking about text generation. So people using things like ChatGPT to plagiarize papers, for example. But of course, AI generated content also includes video, includes visuals, things of that nature. And the technology gets better and better. And so it is harder and harder to tell what is real and what is AI generated. So this is a topic that is definitely not going away, and is probably only going to get more and more complicated as we go through the universe. So that's what we're focused on this week in terms of our reading and in terms of thinking, what it means to write your own work and to avoid plagiarism in the current system with AI generation. So, as usual, you want to start with the readings and resources, and you've got 2 chapters from the Johnson textbook, which we always focus on. This time we are learning about paragraphs. So, chapter 11 focuses on introductions and conclusion paragraphs, and then chapter 12 focuses on paragraphs in general and how we utilize paragraphs to organize our thinking when we're writing essays and papers. Many of the assignments that you write in this class are going to be single paragraphs, including this week's assignment and most of your journals, most of your discussion board type things. But we are going to write 2 essays this term, and in general, when you write for college, you are typically writing essays and not just single paragraphs. So paragraphs are indeed our friends, as the chapter title indicates. So you're going to read that. The next article that you're going to read is about plagiarism and why plagiarism is frowned upon in higher education, in education in general, but also in the world. Now, this article is from the Chronicle of Higher Education. So, of course, it really is focused on educational stuff. But one of the things that you may be thinking about this week as you read about plagiarism and you think about plagiarism is the fact that you can get in trouble legally for plagiarizing in the public sphere as well. There are tons and tons of lawsuits that happen over plagiarism, especially in the music world. Um, it's a very interesting type of a thing. So your own words are considered your intellectual property, and stealing someone else's intellectual property is plagiarism. So we tend to think of it in terms of words. It could be other things. It could be visuals. It could be, oh, this person took this photograph and I entered it in a contest and pretended it was mine. That's still considered plagiarism. But anyway, so take some time with that article. That's going to help you as well. We are introducing the APA template this week because we are going to use that to set up most of your formal writing assignments this term. We use APA at Post University. APA stands for the Association of the American Psychological Association. My brain is not working. It is Monday. Um, and there are other ways that you can format and organize things, but we use APA here at Post. And so we're going to get good at it this term. But there is a template that you can use, and I'm going to show you how to operate it. And you're going to get better and better at setting those things up. One of the things, though, that's really important about the template is that when you are taking classes, you always want to use what is the most recent version. So, for example, you'll notice this says 7th edition. If you took classes a few years ago and maybe now you're coming back, some people may have an old, outdated version of what an APA paper looks like. You want to make sure that you're using the current information, and you can always find that in the with the library information, and also there's a link in your courses for the APA 7th edition. And so this will always stay up to date. So keep that in mind. You also have some videos from one of my favorite websites recently, Scribber.com, and we'll take a look at Scribber for other things in a little bit because we're going to utilize Scribber for our citations as well. But these are articles specifically about plagiarism and how to avoid plagiarizing. Most people, if they end up plagiarizing, I find that it is often an accident, just not properly citing sources or not properly marking if you're using a direct quotation, um, all of those things. So these videos will help you to begin to think about how to incorporate other people's ideas into your own writing, because it's not that we don't use other people's ideas. It's just that in academic writing, we have to give them proper credit. So please do take some time with those videos. They are super helpful. All right. Once you have done all the readings and resources, you can take time to do the Unit 2 interactive exercises. There are 2 this week. One is going to walk you through how to submit an assignment in Blackboard. I'm going to also show you that in this video, but that's an important one. And then in the second one, you're going to be thinking about different plagiarizing scenarios. So please do take the time to do the interactives. Sometimes there's only one in a unit. This week there are 2. One is more practical, one is more focused on the content for this course, but they're both important. So do take some time with them. Do also note that you do not get a grade for these. So nothing gets reported to me. You can take your time with it. You can come in and out of it. You can do it multiple times. It is really there to benefit you. So learning the material, a lot of us learn better if we can fiddle with it and interact with it, which is why those interactive exercises exist. So it takes it beyond just reading about something or watching a video about something. So they are important, but they're not for a grade. So you don't have to worry about if you get something wrong on it, any of those kinds of things. Then we have our two assignments for the week. So this week we will be having a discussion board again, but this one is graded. You didn't have to respond to others last week necessarily because it wasn't a graded discussion board, but most of our well, the rest of our discussion boards are all for grades. So this week's you're going to focus on a sample paragraph that was written by a student at some point. Don't know who. It's a big mystery, but there's a sample paragraph here that you'll see in quotations. So my goals are, this is the paragraph here. This would be what a student might have written for a tell us about your goals in life paragraph. And you're going to be kind of analyzing that, responding to that, and thinking about what you would do for a similar assignment. And that's what you're going to write about in your discussion board. So the questions that you can use to focus, what do you consider some of the things the author did well? So be specific, give us examples of what you thought they did well. You can quote them. You don't have to directly quote them. You can just talk about it. But if it helps to give a direct quote, that's really cool. What are some areas that need improvement? Now, with this one, I know one of the things that people always point out is there are some spelling and grammar errors in this paragraph. I will give you a little heads up. Quote those, show what they spelled wrong or show what they did wrong. That's a great way to answer that part. And then finally, and this is the biggest question, if you had to write a paragraph on the same topic, a goal that you want to achieve, would you submit this paragraph or something similar to your instructor? Why or why not? So you don't have to necessarily write out a paragraph about your goal that you want to achieve. However, share it. Be specific. What would you do that's similar to this paragraph? What would you do that's different? Okay. Your total discussion board should be at least 6 sentences. Okay. Doesn't have to be multiple paragraphs, but say about 6 sentences. And then this week, because it is a graded discussion board, you will need to respond to at least two of your classmates. And honestly, I think that is the hardest part of discussion boards because what do you say? You want to avoid just saying, I agree, or this is great, or things of that nature. You want to aim for at least 3 to 5 sentences, even as you respond to your peers. And so the suggestion here is to answer this question. Did the author of the paragraph do a good job using the correct tone and thinking about their purpose and audience? Speaking of your classmates' paragraphs, not the sample paragraph. Um, so by next Sunday, you need to have not only posted your own response, but two responses to others. Try not to do it all at one time. Try to make sure that you do your own post for the discussion boards early in the week. In some classes, you'll even have a specific deadline of Wednesday for that. And then you have the rest of the week to come back and respond to others. You also want to make sure that if someone, especially me, but if anyone has asked you a question about what you wrote on the discussion, that you answer that. So even if you've already done all three of your required responses, it's a good idea over next weekend to go in, make sure that you've answered any questions that have been asked of you, that kind of thing. Okay. Um, it can be hard to figure out what to say on a discussion board, but you guys, you can do this. Just kind of use those guidelines as your goals. All right. So then we come to the Unit 2 assignment and submission, which is the formal writing assignment for the week. In order to view the assignment, there are two links here. One is again to that template, which we talked about earlier, and I'm going to open that in a minute. The other is for the actual assignment sheet. And I absolutely believe that you should open that read it fully before even beginning to attempt the writing assignments because all of the requirements and criteria are on this document, along with the rubric that we use to grade it, that your teachers will use to grade it. We're going to dig into rubrics a little bit more next week, so I'll give you a bit of an introduction today, but we'll focus on them in week 3. Um, so for this writing assignment, throughout this class, you will be examining different types of sources on a variety of subjects. Some of those sources, many of the sources, will be from the post-university library, and other sources, of course, will be from the internet. In this assignment, you will find one source. It can be a magazine article, it could be a video, it could be an article on a website, um, any of those things. It could be from the library or it could be from the internet about using AI generated content such as ChatGPT, and then you're going to evaluate the article. So we're focused on probably what I would consider to be a bad use of ChatGPT. There are good uses of ChatGPT, but we are focused on how to avoid using AI incorrectly and ending up plagiarizing something. So as we are searching for our sources, I'm going to encourage you to also include the term plagiarism. Anyway, we'll take a look in a minute. So you're going to write a paragraph. It needs to be at least 6 sentences long, and you need to address these questions. So, why did you pick this source? What drew you to that? What is the source about? And that means providing a summary of the information. You do not need or really want to use direct quotes here. You want to put the information in your own words and reword it. And then finally, what makes this a good source to share in the classroom? How is this relevant to what we're learning about? You're also going to include a link for your source. Now, in this particular assignment, you do not have to have a formal APA citation. However, I'm going to show you how to do it because you're going to need to do it in all of the upcoming assignments. But for this one, as long as you give a link to it, you're going to be fine in terms of the point values. Okay. But I want to encourage you to go ahead and get started using real citations because it's going to benefit you in the long run. The more practice, the better. Now, turning in these assignments is one thing people get really confused about. You cannot just type into a box in Blackboard like you do for discussion boards. You must submit an actual document. Typically, it's going to be a Word document. It could be a PDF though. So if you prefer to use something like Google Docs, or let's say you're on a Mac and you have the program Pages, you can use different formats, but then save those as PDFs. You have access to Microsoft Office 365 as a post-university student. So there is no reason why you can't turn it in Word format. In terms of what the paper looks like, that's the file type. In terms of what the paper looks like, it does need to be in APA format. For this assignment, what that's going to mean is you will have a title page and you will have the paragraph on page 2 double spaced. You will have the link, and I would, like I said, suggest making a special reference page and putting the actual APA reference there. If not the reference, you do, as long as you have the link, it's fine. But in most APA documents, we're going to have a title page, the document itself, and the reference page. And those are all one document. This is not 3 separate documents, but that's what it's going to look like. And we'll see that when we open the template here in a sec. Okay, how is it graded? If you shared a source and discussed it within the activity, you are going to score all directions followed. Okay, if you kind of refer to a source, but it's vague, you're going to get most directions followed. If you barely mention a source and then go off on a tangent, you're going to end up with some directions followed. This is how you read a rubric. You always want to aim, of course, for the all directions followed column. If your paragraph is at least 6 sentences, you're going to get all those points. If you address paragraph or question 1, 2, and 3, those are all going to get you points. Did you provide a summary in your own words? Did you include a link? And did you follow basic grammar and punctuation and all those wonderful things? This is how we instructors grade your work. And you have access to it ahead of time, so you can make sure that you follow all of those requirements. And I always suggest before you actually submit it that come back to this page and look at the criteria again and make sure that you have met all of those criteria. Okay? A lot of people end up printing these sheets out so that you can have it in physical form and you can take notes on it and you can, check things off that you've done. You don't have to do that, of course, but um, you certainly can. You can save this on your computer if you want to download it. So you can use it a variety of different ways, but you definitely want to look at it closely before you write your paper, while you're writing it, and before you submit it. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what your document is going to look like. So I'm going to open the template. Now I have Microsoft Office, the full version, on my computer. So when I download the file, it's going to open in Microsoft Word. If you are using Office 365, you may have to save the document on your computer and then open it. Either way works, but I'm just going to open it because, of course, it will do that for me. This is what every writing assignment will look like. It has got page number up in the header. You've got a place to put your title. You've got a place to put your first and last name. You've got a place to put my name. And you've got a place to put the due date for the assignment. When we scroll down at the top of page 2, you'll notice you put the title again, and then you put whatever it is that you're writing. This is double spacing. All the spacing is already fixed here, so you don't have to worry about redoing it. And then you already in the template also have a references page. Like I said, we will maybe only use a link this time, but we are eventually going to be using, and throughout the rest of the term, full APA citation. So this will give you kind of a sample of it. It also is going to help you with the hanging indent, although I will say this drives me a little bit crazy because the template is not hanging indent. So we're going to make that so. Okay. So now it's a real, now it's a real one. All right. So what do we need to do? Well, first of all, we have to find a source. Now I'm going to save this and I'm going to share it with you. So I'm going to call this, ENG107, Unit 2, sample document. Okay, so I'm going to save this and I will attach this to the announcement. All right, so we're going to go back to the internet because we need to find sources. Now, there's a couple of things that you can do, and I'm going to turn this student preview off for a second because I want to utilize some of the links in the course. So we're going to click on library and we're going to do a search. So when you search the library, you will use this box, and I don't know why it never loads properly for me on my computer, but you will need to sign in. And it always takes a minute for the library to load. Okay, so we're going to click on the box and we're going to put in AI generated content, which is going to come up very easy. Now, if I just put in AI generated content, I may or may not be focused on writing and school and all of those things. So I always like to go in and put and plagiarism, just because I want to make sure that I'm focused on the right things. So I'm going to hit return. And we have all kinds of wonderful sources that we can use. In fact, we have over 16,000 sources. One of the things that you'll notice is this button that says full text is already lit up. And you do want to have full text because you want to be able to read the whole article. You can limit it to peer-reviewed sources, which are academic in nature. I wouldn't, because a lot of those are going to be aimed at a very high, like this article is 32 pages. Nobody, nobody really expects you to pick an article that's 32 pages long for this assignment. So I'm going to go over here to source type and I'm going to put in magazines instead of academic journals, and I'm going to click apply. Now, this is going to take my list all the way down to 540 something, but that's plenty, absolutely plenty. And then you'll see here we have a 4-page article from a periodical called Computers and Libraries. Here we have a 3-page article from a magazine called Commentary. These are much more digestible kind of articles. So I'm just going to use the very first one. In order to read it, in order to get started, we're going to click on the title. And you'll notice at the very top of the page, let me get myself out of the way, there is a button that says how to cite it. And we're going to choose this because we're going to put a real APA citation in, even though we could get by with not doing it this particular time. Oh, and I just realized when I have not I did not share the document. Oh, sorry about that. So let's take a look again at the document because I'm going to put this in. I mentioned and I was talking and not showing it, and I apologize. Here's the header with the page number. Here's where the title goes, and I'm going to go ahead and title this AI Generation and Plagiarism. Let's just call it what it is. We're going to change this to your name. I'm going to use who do I want to use today? Um, well, let's use Swifties for Swifties. English Department Post University stays. English 107, the Power of Words stays. Your instructor's name is Miss Pierce or Jackie Pierce, whatever you want to call me. And the due date for the assignment is this coming Sunday, and I don't remember the date off the top of my head, so I'm just going to put in today's date. Oh, it would be November 2nd. Right. Okay. I do know the date. Okay. November 2nd, 2025. All right. Second page. We changed this title to match AI generation and plagiarism is what I called it. And then this is where I'm going to type my paragraph. Um, I'll show you that in a minute. All right. So under references, I have the reference. I have the APA reference. So all I need to do is paste it. And I'm going to choose match formatting. Except I do not want it all in italics. That's weird. Let me undo that and see if just pasting it. No, then I get that weird thing. Okay. No. All right. Let's try. Let's unitalicize. And then let's try. There we go. Okay, that's right. You do want the source to be in italics, but you don't want the rest of it to be in italics. So anyway, so this is what it would look like. All library sources have appropriate citations. So this is one of the big selling points for using the library and not just Googling things. But in order to read the article, under access options, I can choose a PDF or an online full text. Doesn't really matter which one. I like to look at the PDF because if there's any pictures or charts or graphs or things like that, you'll get to see them. It's really just a scanned version of the original document. So you'll read it and then you will write your paragraph of 6 or more sentences. Oh, let me Now, there is no set length as far as what 6 sentences look like. However, typically a well-developed paragraph is going to be about a half a page. So a 6 sentence paragraph is probably going to be about a half a page when it's typed in double spaced, which of course is what this is. So there, let me put that there. And there's my paragraph. I know it's beautiful, isn't it? Let's talk about though, if you end up using a different type of source. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do with this is I'm going to fix this to where it's at the top of the page. This is one of my little pet peeves. When you have a new page to go to, you actually want to insert a page break instead of just hitting enter. So we're going to make this real. And this version is the one I'm going to give to you. So instead of using the template that has none of these changes, use this as your template. Now, if this was the only source I'm using, I'm going to get rid of this one because I don't need that. But I'm also going to show you how to cite a website. So let's go to Google and we're going to put in the same search. So AI generated writing and plagiarism is already there. And we'll have tons of potential articles that we can use. We can also use a video if you prefer to watch a video, you can do that. And then, so there's tons of things that you can choose from. Let's use the first thing as we did before, just because we can. So if we are going to cite this, all you are required to do for this assignment is to put the link. However, I want to show you how to cite a website because you're going to be doing it throughout the course. So we're going to go to Scribr. I told you earlier, that's the one that the videos are from, but we are also going to use the citation generator. Click on the citation generator, and you want to make sure that under works cited or under this, it says APA. It does not. So I need to change this. It's called a references page, and I'm going to change this to APA 7th edition. Okay. Save changes. All I have to do is paste my URL and click the cite button. Now, if it's properly formatted in the internet, it will just generate it for you. There are times when you have to put in the information manually, but this one is not one of them. So this is the citation. I can copy this and paste it, or I can copy to clipboard, and I'm going to put it in right here. So we're going to put in the, there we go. The only thing, it did a couple of things that changed and now it's wrong. Even though it was already set, I don't know why it would do that, but we're going to change this to double spacing and we're going to change this to a hanging indent. So now I don't need this at all because I have put the real citation in. One other quick thing, if you have more than one source, which you will not for this one, but this would go first alphabetically. So I'm going to put these in the right order just for that. Now, let's do one more because a lot of people will love to use videos. So I'm going to actually just open YouTube and I'm going to put in AI generated content and plagiarism. I can't believe I haven't searched that on my YouTube, but here it is. And then here are some articles, some videos that we could use. So let's pick one. I don't want to pick one that teaches me how to cheat. So I'm gonna change this a little bit. Um, and see if I get less like how to do it right stuff. Okay, here's a nice one. Here's a TED Talk. So let's take this one. So if we open this, of course it's going to be loud. So we're going to pause it. And I'm going to use Scribr again to cite it. So let's go back to Scribber, put the URL in, and click Cite. Okay, this is my citation. We're going to copy this to the board, and we're going to come back over here, and it's going to be under TED. So if I put it in this order, it's going to be in the right order. So I'm just going to do that. And again, it undid the spacing. I don't know what's going on with that. So we're going to double space and hanging indent. Oops. Oh, that's fine. Hanging. Okay. So this is what my reference page now looks like. So I'm going to leave these all on here, even though you're only going to need one. But this way you'll see a sample of a library source, a website, and a video when you look at the sample. So I'm going to save this and shut it down and stop sharing. Oh, actually, I don't want to stop sharing. I want to show you one more thing. Sorry. All right, so you're ready to turn it in. All right, so we go back to our course. We're going to go back to the actual class. We're going to open Unit 2. We're going to click on the title of the assignment, and this is where you need to upload your file. It drives me crazy that Create Submission is first because you want to save it on your computer and upload it. We've already done that, so I double clicked. You will need to agree to submit the paper to the Global Reference Database, and then you will click Submit. What happens when you do that is that it will give you a preview. Now, I'm not signed in as a student, so that's why it's not showing the way it will look on yours, but that's what you do in order to submit the assignment. Okay? And your interactive this week will help with that as well. If you have questions, if you have problems, if something doesn't work right, do reach out. Do not hesitate to reach out. I will give you as much help as I possibly can. But that is what we're doing in Unit 2. So I know this video is a little bit long. I apologize. But this is the first one in turning in formal writing assignments. So it's kind of an important one. So everybody take care. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week for Unit 3.